I am here again for my course Project-Based Learning. Today I am going to discuss about research strategies. I am Dr. Dwivedi, Professor from Department of Aeronautical Engineering, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad, India. As you see that in my previous lecture, I have discussed about Sanders' onion approach. In that, we were having the 6 approaches, 6 layers of the onions. In that, I have discussed the first and the second approach of that. And this you can see here that how we have the different philosophy of any research. We can go as a deductive, we can go as a inductive. We can start with the problem and solve the problem, or we can start with the theory and then you start your other things. Same way we have their different ontology, descriptive, and so many things we have already discussed in our previous lecture. In this lecture, I am going to discuss about next 4 layers. In this, I am going to complete in this lecture. So here we have the different strategies for the project, for the research. So here we have the 3rd layer, 4th layer, 5th layer, and the 6th layer, which are part of the Sanders' onion of the research methods. So here we have, again I will discuss the same thing, the project-based learning. What is that? So introduction. I can start with the quote from Gautam Buddha, which is taken from NCERT book. An idea that is developed and put into action is more important than idea that exists only as an idea. So what is the meaning here? And same thing is reflecting to our project-based learning. We all have so many ideas, but we are not able to make those ideas into action. And if you are able to make that idea into action, and that action is useful for the society, for the community, for the country, for the village, for anything, for anyone, then we can say that this idea is good. Not only keeping in your brain, you have so many ideas in your brain. Everyone is dreaming so many things. But how many dreams you are able to make in the real life? So this type of thoughts were developed and were written by Lord Gautam Buddha in some 400 BC. Means it is 2400 years plus has been passed. That time also this type of thoughts were present in India. Now, PBL is an innovative model for the learning. It is not a classroom model that we have to make in practice. You have some problem, try to solve by your own means, your ideas, your behavior. We should make the students so that they can think that what they have to do and what they have to solve the problem. So PBL is the innovative method for students learning to find solution of the real world problem. So it is an innovative method of the teaching and the learning for the students where they can find the solution of the real world problem. Not just you are putting so many concepts, but it is not solving any problem of anyone. That thing should not happen. Every project should first find the problem of the real world and then you try to solve the problem for the real world. Just don't in the dream or just your imagination, you should not do anything. Then only you will be told that you are learning something, the level of the learning is increasing. Now I will discuss here some level of the learning, and this is by the Bloom's taxonomy, which is given these 6 layers of your learning levels or cognitive levels. Students have to develop from remembering to the creating. This is the top level. and this is the lowest level. And so the remembering, if you see a kid of UKG or LKG, they are very much rhymes, they remember and they will recite very nicely. So that type of things are called the remembering. Recalling relevant knowledge from long-term memory. You memorize the things and you just recite it, or recall it, or just you write it, or you can speak it. That is called the remembering. Next is the understanding, making sense of the material you have learned. So whatever you have learned or whatever you have remembered, whether you are able to make that thing in your own language, whether you want to make this thing something different, but something in new field you can apply, you can use it. So making sense of the material you have learned. Third layer is applying, use the knowledge gained in new ways. So whatever, just like Newton's law, Newton has seen that apple is falling. Okay, this is a very simple thing. It is just like understanding that it is falling. But whether all the three laws which he has, whether you can apply in this some new areas, in some new places, then it is called the applying. Then next level is analyzing. Our engineering students should be above this level. This level is not acceptable for the engineering student. So you should start from applying, go to the analyze, then evaluate, and last is the create. So analyzing means breaking the concept into parts and understanding how each part is related to one another. Like if you make a car, okay, just I am making it. Just I will tell about the aircraft. Just if this is the aircraft. Okay, so in this, we have the landing gears, we have the wings here, this is the fuselage, this is the vertical tail, this is the horizontal tail. So these you just break it and you again assemble it, and what effect it is, if you remove the wing, what will happen to the aircraft? If you fix the horizontal tail, what will happen? If you put this landing gear, nose landing gear, what will happen? If you put this main landing gear, okay, what will happen? So like this, it is called the analyzing. Next, after the analyzing, you have removed. Whether you evaluate, if I am removing this wing, what will happen? If I am doing each and every part and then I am making again and then I am evaluating that, what will happen? Next is the create. Putting evaluation means making judgment based on a set of guidelines. So it is as per the guidelines and set of the law, you have to evaluate. Then last is putting information together in an innovative way, a new way of your information, of your product, of your anything. Then it is called the creating. And creating should be a new thing, innovative. It is not the only a product. It can be some information, it can be some data, it can be some theory, anything which you are able to generate. So this is the learning levels, and this project-based learning is to enhance your level from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, at the last in the highest level of the creating. This is the object of the project-based learning in our college. So we have seen that in my previous class that I have discussed about this Saunders onion approach. A revision I am putting here. And here we have the 6th layer. This you can see the first layer, it is called the philosophical stances. This one. Then layer 2 is approaches. Then layer 3 is strategy. So we are here now. Strategy. Then layer 4 is choices. And layer 5 is time horizon here. And layer 6 is techniques and the procedures. So these are the 6 layers. 2 layers we have already completed. In this we have first one epistemology, then ontology and axiology. We have only discussed about this and the this. In this too, we have the positivism, realism, and the interpretivism is fall under this, and this objectivism, constructivism, and the pragmatism fall under this. Next, we have discussed about the deductive methods and inductive, means upside down and downside up. There are two methods which we have already discussed in our previous classes, previous lectures. Now I am going to discuss here about experiment, survey, case study, action research, grounded theory, ethnography, and achievable research. So I'm going to discuss these all topics in my next. So here we have the research strategies, third layer. I am going to start. In this third layer, we have already discussed that few very important points are there. So the third layer of the research onion is concerned with how a researchers plan to collect data for the dissertation in a question. So first one, how the researchers plan to collect the data for the dissertation in question. So first one is the method of collecting data is experiment. This experiment is scientific and rigid in structure. Experimental design are meant to test causal effect of phenomena on a group. The data collected using this method could be statistical analyzed. So we can get so many data in this experimental, and it is a scientific and the rigid structure. And the purpose of this thing is to collect causes and effects of the phenomena on a group. The data collected using this method could be statistically analyzed. So in this statistics, if we use, this can be analyzed. Next, if you see here, next is the survey. Next part after experiment is the survey. How we can do the survey? A survey design often results from a deductive approach and is capable of collecting large volume. The collected data help answer the research questions or hypothesis. So in this approach, we take a big survey on that particular topic, and in this we follow the deductive approach, and in this large volume of data are collected, a huge amount of data, and this collected data help for the research question or to find the solution of the problem. Next is the case study. This type of research design provides unique example of real people or the cases in the real situation. The number of such case studies is often restricted or drawing clear conclusion. So here we can do some case study is also a research. So in this unique example of real people or the cases which in the real situation. So here we can do some case study of some Ambani. We can do case study of some Saint Ramanujan, APJ Abdul Kalam, of their work, their studies. This we can do the case study. A number of such case studies often this we can use. Then next one is the action research. This is primarily designed to deal with a specific problem in a specific situation. The process of action research begins with setting up of a clear objective. Therefore, the problem is fully diagnosed and subsequently a list of solutions is prepared and presented as recommendation to solve the issue. So this is primarily designed to deal with specific problems in a specific situation. The process of action research begins with setting up of clear objectives. So in this, we should set a clear objective. Thereafter, the problem is fully diagnosed and subsequently a list of solutions. So first you have to find a clear objective, then problem is fully diagnosed, then list of the solutions what can be there, and the recommendation to solve this solution. Out of this solution, which is the best solution which we can solve the problem. So this is the method by which we can proceed ahead. So it is a, next is the ground theory. This strategy takes the approach of collecting data to build theory rather than to test or refine one. So in this, we have to collect the data and build the theory. We have to make our own theory rather than test or refine one. The researchers using ground theory strategy often begins with a research question or qualitative data collection. Thereafter, the data collected through observation is reviewed by the researchers, and the repeated ideas are then coded, grouped into a category that in turn creates basis for a new theory. So in this, what happened, we take a lot of data. This data we can classify as make the groups, and in turn for every groups we can see that in which theory it is fitting, or we can make some new theory that this data is for this and this data is for this. So it is called the ground theory. Next is ethnography. This ethnography strategy studies people in natural surrounding in order to develop theory and around behavior and culture. This is rather a daunting and time consuming research design, where the researchers become part of the community, being investigated with a view to producing detail about long-term changes in opinion and the action. So it is a natural surrounding. Studies people in the natural surrounding, in your surrounding, of what are the peoples are there, in order to develop theory around behavior and the culture. So it is based on the behavior and the culture of the people. This is rather a daunting and the time consuming research, because it takes a lot of time. It takes decades to formulate the behavior, its age factors and so many things. The researchers become part of the community. So it is the researchers will stay there only, their house will be there, and he or she will monitor and observe the things in a long time, being investigated with a view for producing detail about the long-term changes in opinion and action. So how the peoples are behaving, how their behavior, how their culture, how their traditions, how their income, in a one generation to another generation, how the peoples are behaving. Like this study can be performed by the ethnography strategy. Next is the archival research. This type of research, this type of strategy derives information from the existing data and archive documents. So it is already available some data in archive that we have to see it. From the existing data we have to find out. A study using this research study could face a roadblock going forward, as the accuracy and the amount of available information could present issues. So if you see the previous data and if you work on that, because in every 5 years or few years new things will come up, but if you just based on this thing, it will create the problem, it will give some hindrance, and it will not give the accurate result, and the amount of available information could present issues. It may not be accurate. You are encouraged not to rely solely on this kind of secondary data for your PhD thesis or dissertation. So we should not 100% believe on this type of data, try to find out your new data, and then you perform your PhD work or the thesis or your MTech or BTech. You should see that these things are working, and you can take as a reference, but you should also generate your own data for the future references. Now I have completed my layer 3 of Saunders onion. Now I am here for the layer number 4. It is called the research choices. So what type of research choices are there for the researchers? This I am going to discuss with these some points here, and these all points are taken from reference ones from Saunders onion. So first one is the quantitative research. So what is the quantitative research? Quantitative research relates to numbers, measurements and quantity, whereas qualitative research is concerned with rich data including opinion, description and personal accounts. So for the engineers, we should very much focus on the quantitative work. However, for the general or for other societal research, we should focus on the qualitative research, because qualitative research will generate a huge amount of data, opinions, description and the personal views on this issue. Basically, we have 3 methods to choose from when working with this specific layer of the research onion. These are listed below. So in this, we have 3 methods here: mono method, mixed method and the multi method. These are the 3 methods for which we have to concentrate for this layer. So mono means single. So mono method, this type of method takes place when the researchers goes about collecting either qualitative data or quantitative data based on the decision made in the previous stages of research onion. So in this type of method or the mono method, when the researchers goes about collecting either qualitative data or the quantitative data, anyone, based on the decisions made in the previous stages of the research onion, means layer 3, 2 or 1, wherever, as per that we have to take the decision. It is called the mono method. Mixed method, when the researchers collect both quantitative data and the qualitative data with an intention to use those equally in the research study. Data collected and analyzed, we term it as a mixed method research. It is rather attempt to complement quantitative data with qualitative data in order to overcome the limitations of such individual method. So in this, what happens in our mono method, we only take either qualitative data or the quantitative, and then as per the previous steps of this research onion, we select this thing. But in the mixed method, what we do is we take the qualitative also and the quantitative also. Okay, so both we take it, we mix it, both methods, and then we do the analysis, because in this we take the attempt to complement the quantitative data with the qualitative data, so that the limitation of each other can be reduced or the limitations can be overcome which both the methods are having. Next is the multi-method. This means that both qualitative and the quantitative data collection techniques are used. However, analysis of the collected data is data is done using the perspective only. So in this, We take both qualitative and the quantitative data, but analysis of the collected data is done using one perspective only. So, but we take only one, either qualitative or the quantitative, not both. So, that is as per the suitability and the applicability of the data, which one is the either qualitative or the quantitative, which is suiting for our the work. As per the perspective of our work, we should choose only one. So, that is called the multi-method. So, we have here mono method, mixed method and the multi-method. Anyone you can choose as per your work. Next, I am going for the layer 5. It is called the time horizon. And in this, we can divide it into two groups. One is the cross-sectional group. It is, if you see this road is going from here. Either you can go in this direction and you can also go in this direction. So this direction, perpendicular to the length of this thing, is called the cross-sectional. And here it is called the longitudinal. So this I am going to discuss in my next slide. So this type of work fall under the time horizon, and it is in the fifth layer. In this fifth layer, it constitutes only two parts. One is the cross-sectional and another is the longitudinal system. So here we have the layer 5 of the research onion is to do with time frame for the research. So there are two options for a researchers to choose from. One is the cross-sectional, another is the longitudinal. So I have shown here just now. So here in the time horizon, we have the longitudinal and the cross-sectional, and which one we have to see, it depends upon our motto, our way of approaching the thing. So here we have first one, cross-sectional. This option presents a snapshot view of a particular situation at a single point in time and confines the duration of data collection of research to short period of time. So if you see here the figure, what is the meaning here? It is very short. If you see from here to here, it is a less time. But if you see from here to here, it takes a huge amount of time. So the cross-sectional approach is a short time and a quick result you are going to get in instant of time. So the cross-sectional, this option present a snapshot view of a particular situation at a single point in time and confines the duration of data collection and research to a short period of time. So if you go for the collection of the data in 2 hours or 3 hours, you can get some data, then it is called the cross-sectional. But if you go for the longitudinal, this type of research studies events and behavior using concentrated sample over a long period of time, 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, like this. So this is the two time frame we have to set, especially for the social projects. We have to formulate, either we have to go for the cross-sectional view or we should go for the longitudinal. In the cross-sectional view, in a few days, few weeks or few months is sufficient. But for the longitudinal, if you go, it will take years for the collecting that data, their behavior, their events, their culture, their activities and all. It will take a lot of time, but it will give a very good result, and it will a very nice result will come in this method. So now I have reached to the last layer of this topic, and that is the that is called the techniques and the procedures. And here I am for the sixth layer, and this sixth layer is also the final layer of this my lecture. The final layer of the research onion looks at data collection and the analysis. So this name of this thing is data collection and its analysis. This is the final layer. As a researchers, you need to pen down the decisions related to sample groups, questionnaire content, interview questions, ethics, and what not in this particular section. Everything you have to write down. Write down the things which may be a sample group, how much big sample group is, what are the questions you have to ask, interview questions, ethical issues, and what not in particular section. Everything you have to write down properly before you start this data collection. Please note that all the decisions incorporated in the fifth layer should be in accordance with the discussion that took place in the previous layers of the research onion if you are to produce a valid result. So in this, as per this, if you see, this is the time domain. Before that, you have to go to fourth layer. In this quantitative mono methods, what method you are using, everything has to be done. If you see here the third layer, if you see what type of layers you have to make it. Is it experimental? You are doing survey, you are doing case study, you are doing the external research, you are doing the ground theory, you are doing the ethnography, you are doing archival research, so many things. If you go to the fourth layer, it is a quantitative or the qualitative, you are using mono method, mixed method or the multi method, these all things. Then it is a longitudinal and the cross section. If you are satisfied with this, then only your fifth layer you have to start. In this you have to do the data collection, and this data collection, and after that you have to do the analysis of your work. In this you have to pen down all the decisions which you have taken, all the sample groups, all the questions what you have to ask, interview the questions, ethical issues, everything you have to write down, and note that all the decisions incorporated into the fifth layer should be in accordance with the discussion that took place in the previous layers of the research onion if you are to produce a valid result. So if you see here in this, which one you have to, if you are choosing this or this, and this is depend upon the previous first, second, third and fourth layer. First, second, third and the fourth layer. As per that, you have to select either this or that. And what type of result you want. Then only you have to follow this sixth layer, data collection. After only you should not start just before. It is a final one where you have to start working for this type of activities. My next topic, I will be discussing about the research paper. Type of research papers, because you have to document. So your work, our project has to be documented. So how this you can document? It is a one way of documenting is the writing the paper on your work. So this research papers has to be done. You have to make it. So in the next topic, I am going to discuss about the research paper, type of research papers, how to write a literature review, elements of the literature review. This I am going to discuss in my next class, and hope this will be very useful for you. Be tuned. These are my references which I have taken from this ncrt.nic.in, and any questions you are welcome to ask. It will be very nice. If any questions, you can mail me to my email ydwivedi@gmail.com. Also, I request you all to like and subscribe my YouTube video channel and give comment if you feel any improvement or you need something to do. Thank you very much for joining this lecture. Be tuned for my next lecture. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.